this time on 24 Hours In. Last episode, we arrived to Washington and set off to explore North Cascades National Park. Paige and I were both itching to finally get out here after spending so much time in neighboring states, and North Cascades was the perfect way to start off our adventure through all three of Washington's national parks. If you missed that episode and want to get caught up, you can watch it at the link in the description. But after 24 hours in the Northern Cascades, it wasn't long before we found ourselves at the gate to the tallest peak in the range, Mount Rainier. For this trip, Paige and I arrived through the northeastern entrance of the park. We did this for the sole purpose of making it to Sunrise Ridge Overlook during sunrise. This is an iconic spot in the park offering 360-degree views of the surrounding areas and is the perfect way to introduce yourself to Mount Rainier from below its snow-covered peak. After getting our fill of some of our favorite golden hour views from the truck, it was definitely time for some coffee. So we hopped on the road and found a quiet spot near the edge of Sunrise Lodge to get the percolator on the stove. We had this area to ourselves until a local showed up to greet us. This, my friends, is the Cascade red fox. And while they do have red in the name, they've been observed in tan, red, as well as silver and black colors. A native species to Mount Rainier, these adorable mousers are only found here in Washington state, and even rarely so. One report puts their population as low as 51 members, and they are unfortunately classified as endangered. As with any animal, it's best to give them their space and admire from afar. We planned today's adventure out to be fairly easy, since the next morning we had plans to tackle one of our personal hardest hikes yet. Next up, it was time to get into the trees and hit the trail. This hike takes you out to Bench and Snow Lakes, two subalpine lakes just over a mile from the trailhead. The trail has you hiking about 2¼ miles in total while gaining just under 500 feet of elevation. A great hike for people of all ages to catch both forest and meadow views with chances to spot black-tailed deer and the hoary marmot.
Okay guys, listen, I'm gonna be honest. After that last clip you saw, Paige and I set our hammocks up and took us a nice little cat nap. We woke up at like 3:30 this morning, and I think tomorrow we're gonna wake up at maybe about 5. We also have a pretty easy to cook, but hopefully a very yummy dinner planned for tonight. And then honestly, I know it's only like 5:30 right now, but we're probably just gonna hang out around camp. Tomorrow we are planning on doing the Skyline Trail, and that's kind of all we've blocked off. Usually we leave the parks right around 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So the Skyline Trail is probably going to take most of our morning. It's definitely the hardest hike on paper that we've ever done before. And typically we don't do the harder hikes in national parks because this is 24 hours in and we just don't have a ton of time for them. But we figured this was short enough but strenuous enough that we would give this one a try. But enough talking, let's get the rooftop tent set up and cook some dinner.
be a mess.
Is there instructions?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
Look at the instructions.
Oh. Oh god.
This to this.
Literally. To give you guys some context as to what we're doing, pretty much every time we go to a national park, we see these like little kind of like Lego-ish like figures. So when we were in North Cascades, we were looking for stuff to do and we figured we would get one, but we actually ran out of time, ironically enough, to do it in North Cascades. So we figured since we were hanging out at camp this evening, we would do it here. You know, you think when you get a box this small, it's going to be pretty easy, but this is 358 pieces. And the pieces are like not big. Like you can't even see that.
It says 7 and up for ages 7 and up.
Yeah, I mean this is tiny. It's, you know, tiny. So and the instructions are not super detailed. So this is the step we just did right here. That's what we just did. And it tells you need 6 pieces, and it just put them together. You're good. I've done Lego before, and this. I don't know if I'm just being dramatic, but it seems a little bit more difficult. But I think we can figure it out.
6. Okay.
It's three layers of that.
Well, I need a bunch of the 3s. I have 3, 4, 5. One more of those.
Oh no! Here's what we've done so far. I'm pretty happy with it. You know, this, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know, I think it looks pretty good.
We're 2/3 of the way through step 2 out of
17, I think.
17.
Yeah. But hey, 17, you just so for 17 you just stick it on there. So I think 17 we can do.
After a relaxed evening at camp, we woke up the next morning and quickly packed up. We were headed off to the Paradise area of Mount Rainier. Here you'll find the Henry M. Jackson Memorial Visitor Center, which is a great place to stop for general information, park exhibits, a gift store, and the cafeteria. We weren't here for that though. It was time for us to tackle the Skyline Trail. Skyline is a 5.7-mile loop trail that has you gaining about 1,800 feet of elevation. The tough part about that elevation gain, though, is that it all happens within the first 2 miles of the loop. You also have to take into account that your starting elevation above sea level is 5,400 feet, meaning that you'll be climbing all the way above 7,000 feet MSL. Putting that into perspective, that's the equivalent of the height of almost 6 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. And the hike itself is the equivalent of climbing to the top of the Empire State Building from the ground to the roof almost 1.5 times. It is well worth it though. I don't mean to spoil it, but this is definitely my favorite hike on the West Coast so far. Just see for yourself.
You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright, the kind you wanna stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control. The ones that don't let you lose your soul. You gotta find your people, the ones that get the joke, who understand what you're saying before a word is spoken. You gotta find your people that put the needle in the groove. When you're together, you got nothing to prove. When you're together, you got nothing to lose. In a world full of strangers, you don't know who to trust. see is danger, trying to find what you lost. You can't go it alone, everybody needs help. You gotta find your people, then you'll find yourself. You gotta find your people that'll call your bluff, who'll ride along when the road is rough. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel equal. They pick you up and don't put you down, help you find your way in the lost and found. In a world full of strangers, you don't know who to trust. All you see is danger, trying to find what you lost.
As we ascended into the heights of Skyline and visibility declined, I decided to put my camera away for a while and focus on my steps. A majority of the first 2 miles of this hike is paved, but once you get up here, things get a little rocky and slippery for a while.
The ones that understand you, the ones that lend a hand to you, the ones that don't demand anything from you. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright, that tell you the truth and wish you well. You gotta find your people, then you'll find yourself. You gotta find your people, then you'll find yourself.
The sky began to open as we made our final descent back down into paradise, allowing us one last glimpse at the incredible place that we spent the last 24 hours exploring. Thank you so much for following along with us on our adventure through Mount Rainier. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We have one more park to see here in Washington, and you don't want to miss it. And as always, see you down the trail.